All right, here we go. You have me back, Mrs. Eberly, whether you like it or not. We are going to take it a step further, and instead of just solving using number sense with our equations, we are going to solve by adding or subtracting. Okay? And there are certain properties that I want you to keep in mind. So from the book, the properties that we're looking at, that we're going to make use of, are known as, one of them is known as the addition property of equality, saying if you add the same value to each side of an equation, the two sides remain equal. Okay, and we'll go over what that means. And then subtraction property, if you subtract the same value from each side of an equation, the two sides remain equal. So let's look at some equations to see what happens. So let's say I have the equation 10 divided by 5, what is that equal to? That's equal to 2. So this is a true equation. Now if we take this true equation and we add the same value to each side of the equation, it should still remain true. So if I take the equation and I add, so if I take 10 over 5 and I add 1 to it, it should be the same as not 2, but 2 plus 1 by the addition property of equality. So is it the same? Well, 10 divided by 5 is 2, and 2 plus 1 is 3. And 2 plus 1 on the right side is 3. So yes, they mean the same thing. So if I add something to one side of the equation and I add it to the other, it will remain equal. So let's try a different equation. That's also true. Let's try something with like multiplication. 4 times 2 equals 8, right? That's a true equation. Now if I take this equation and I subtract the same value from each side, it still should remain true. So if I take this side, 4 times 2, and I subtract, 5, it should be the same. It's not 8, but 8 minus that 5. So let's see if it is. 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 minus 5 is 3. And what do we get on this side? Well, 8 minus 5 is 3. So both sides of the equation are 3, so it does remain true. So by the subtraction property of equality and the addition property of equality, we can solve equations with variables in them. Because we know if we add or subtract the same value on each side of an equation, the equation is going to remain true. So to start you off, I have a random hand. This is a mystery hand. It's a 7th grade student's hand that's saying, high five, I got this. I think I know how to solve equations. Well, in your submission of your quiz, we'll see if any of you know whose hand this is. That's your mystery. Okay, so that was some random hand. Now to move on, giving me a high five saying, keep it going, Miss Eberly. Let's start with an equation with a variable in it. So some number minus 34 is equal to negative 46. And we're trying to figure out for what value of x can we find that'll make this equation true. What value minus 34 will give me exactly negative 46? So using your number sense powers, do you think this number is going to be positive or negative? Well, if I picked a positive number like 1 minus 34, what is that going to equal? If I go to 1 on the number line starting at 0, and then I subtract 34, I'm going to be at negative 33. Whoa, so I'm pretty close. So what if I pick a greater number like 10? 10 minus 34. So this is me just guessing, trying to see how close I can get. So from 0 I go to 10, and I subtract and go 34. Is that going to get me closer to negative 46 than 1 minus 34 did? There was 1 minus 34. This was at negative 33. This one's going to be at negative 24, which is not closer. This one brought me closer. So I need to pick numbers lower than 1. So it might even be a negative number. So to get that exact number without guessing and checking, now we just know what's reasonable. And we're going to go through some examples in class, so don't worry if you're not understanding this. But I'm going to draw a line down the equal sign to show that whatever I do to one side of the equation, I'm going to have to do the other to keep things equal. Just like the addition properties of equality, subtraction properties of equality. So what the whole goal is to figure out what x equals. So as you can see right now, the negative or minus 34 is hooked to the x. So we need to get the minus 34 to go away. So we're going to use the addition property of equality here. I'm going to add something to both sides of the equation, and it'll keep it true so that I can find what x is. So I'm going to take x minus 34, and I'm going to add something to it. And I'm going to take negative 46 and add that same amount so that I can get what x is worth. Well, in order to get what x is worth, how can I get rid of a subtraction by 34? By adding its opposite. So I'm going to use the inverse operation of subtraction, which is addition. So adding 34 to one side, but to keep it equal, I need to add 34 to the other side. So now if you notice, minus 34 plus 34 is just going to be 0. So this side simplifies down to just x. And then if I add 34 over here, using my number line, I went negative 46. Then from there I add, so I turn back around. But I don't go by 0. I'm still in the negatives. So since they overlapped, I'm going to subtract the numbers. 46 minus 34. So this is going to land at 12, but I can see it's below 0, so I'm going to get negative 12. And now what's nice with equations, we figured out what x is. But what's nice with equations is we can actually check our work. So I'm going to go back to the original. I'm going to check it. And instead of x minus 34 equals negative 46, I'm going to plug in that negative 12 for x. So does negative 12 minus 34 really give me negative 46? Well, on the number line, I'm going to go negative 12. And then I need a minus 36. Subtract means I keep going left. So if I go 12 and another 36 more, I'm really just adding them together. And I end up, now I messed up the number, it's not 36, it's 34. So I'm going to erase that, 34. Which means that I will end up with 46, but it's below 0, so that's negative 46. And is that what we wanted? Yes! Okay, so we were able to solve for x by using the addition property of equality. So let's try one more. Just because, okay? And let's say I have something a bit easier for you. Let's say I have the variable b plus 12 equals 39. I'm going to draw my line so I keep everything equal. And now I need to get what b is worth. So to get b alone, I see I have an addition by 12. So I'm going to make use of the subtraction property of equality here. I'm going to subtract a certain number, b plus 12 minus something, equals 39 minus that same something to keep things equal. So what am I going to subtract so that I can just be left with b? Well, I need to get rid of this positive 12, so I'm going to subtract 12. But if I do that to one side, I need to do it to the other side. So now, right here, 12 minus 12 is 0, so I'm just left with that b. And then 39 minus 12 is 27. So now I have my b value, and now I'm going to check it because I can, and I can see if I got it right. So I'm going to go back to the original, b plus 12 equals 39. And I'm going to sub in that 27 for B. And will 27 plus 12 give me 39? Well, if I line them up and add them up, yes it does. So I am happy because I found what B was worth. And get ready because we're going to practice a ton in class.